So you can jump in on that. 617-779-7937. Let me hear Jim Montgomery after Game 6. Again, this is on Friday night. His lament about how the Bruins lost the series.
I didn't sense frustration, but the lack of our ability to score in the playoffs in general. You can't win every game 2-1. We didn't finish. I mean, I don't know. Outside of Game 1, I don't think did we score more than 2 goals. I mean, my head's all spinning right now, so I don't know. I think we had 3 and we didn't score more. Okay, there you go. But it's not the only thing. There's several other elements of the series. The territorial ozone time that they had over us, it has compounding effects. And, I thought we started the game off great, and it got away from us in the second.
It's amazing listening to that clip. I think he's right. They couldn't score enough. But all I can think about is how Montgomery just can't count in any capacity.
No, he really can't.
The man can't count.
We know now the too many men issue. We know. He can't count to 2.
There you go.
How many goals? What we have? I don't even have my head spinning. No, we get it. Your head spin. You can't keep control of your bench. We know your head's spinning. This guy is not dialed in on the details at all. But I agree with him. And I do think that goes back to their best players disappearing, which is a problem for them. You can give Marchand an excuse if you want. You can give Pastrnak an excuse if you want. Marchand was dinged up and comes back from a concussion. Pastrnak doesn't have enough help around him, blah, blah, blah. You can do that, but those guys disappeared. And they tend to disappear in a lot of these big games. Arcand, I know you have an issue with an emerging narrative defending the Bruins after that loss.
Yeah, and I feel like it started right away. It started before the game was even over. I feel like you started hearing about how this was supposed to be a bridge year, and really the team did better than we thought they were going to do. And after last year, you lost Taylor Hall and you lost all these people, and you weren't expecting anybody. You heard Marchand say it after the game. People didn't expect us to make the playoffs, which I don't remember anybody saying that. But either way, it started very, very quickly, and I think that when you're that close, you're 5 points away from the President's Trophy for the second year in a row, and you're talking about bridge years and rebuild years and stuff like that. That wasn't a rebuild year. You didn't have a rebuild year, the teams that are having rebuild years right now, and they're at the bottom of the standings, and they're going to be picking high in the draft. That's not you, and I don't like that sort of springs up all the time. You lose in the first or second round most years. They're not all rebuilding years. So if this was a rebuild year, it's no different from last year when you were the best team. So I don't really see what the point of even saying that is. I feel like that people want to call them overachievers just so they'll feel better about the season and about how it all went. But you can't do that. You can't say that about this team. They didn't overachieve.
So, and we'll get to that. Do you think any of it has to do with the money situation in the offseason, last offseason, that it's Marchand's way of saying, we really didn't get to spend very much in the offseason, and look what we were able to do. And so maybe it's not so much of wagging his finger at the media in doubting fans who I don't really think exist.
I don't think he was wagging his finger. I think he was just making an excuse.
Do you think it has to do with, hey, if you invest in us, now see what we can do? Going forward to this offseason when they're going to have to pay some money out to Swayman,
sure,
but they can spread it around.
Brad Marchand's been on this team a long time, and they've invested, and they've not invested certain years they have. There's been a lot of people who have come through that door, from Ginla to Rick Nash and a bunch of guys in between, Taylor Hall and all these other people. So, he's seen it before. I don't think he's saying, hey, you got to invest in this particular team right now any more than he would any other year.
No, I agree, and I think what they did during the regular season, first of all, I'm just not buying into Bruins regular season anymore. Okay, they're great during the regular season. It doesn't really seem like what they spend, and it doesn't seem to equate to what they're going to do in the playoffs, at least in this iteration of the Bruins. But I wonder if what Marchand was trying to say there was almost like the front office didn't give us the biggest chance to be out there and be contenders because they didn't spend. And so I'm proud of what we were able to accomplish, because it's not like we got a whole lot of support up against the cap.
I just think he knows they were the worst team. They weren't as good as Florida, which I agree with.
He knows they're not good enough.
They weren't as good as Florida, but that doesn't mean you just accept. You were up 2-0 in Game 4,
right,
on home ice. You were up 1-0 in Game 6 on home ice. You were about to go to overtime before you crap the game away at home. So I don't like a day or a handful of days after a loss and getting eliminated in a winnable series. Florida's better than you, but it's a winnable series. I don't like just going, they overachieved, no biggie. I don't like that, whether it's from Marchand, whether it's from the fan base. I agree with Arcand on this. It's annoying. That's an annoying thing to hear. It's like, what could they have done? Well, there's a lot of things they could have done to extend this series. You could not take too many men on the ice penalties game after game after game. Swayman could have stopped that shot. You can, I don't know, Actually shoot at Sergei Bobrovsky. You can protect leads. There's a ton of things you can do. And to just say, they overachieved, that lets them off the hook for all the things they did wrong in this series when it was a winnable series, even against a superior team. It was.
Yeah. I guess I feel like the way that we were talking on Friday, I thought that it was very likely and possible for this series to go to 7, but I just didn't really see them coming out on top over the Panthers. I just think the Panthers were such a better team. And I don't want to sit here and say, like, I'm letting the Bruins off the hook. I'm just looking at it and saying, I kind of felt like during the entire regular season, basically from the All-Star break on, I was like, okay, this is water finding its level. This is who this team is. They're better than average. Like, they're better than a mediocre team.
Yeah,
but they're not this great team who should have won the President's Trophy. Like, they weren't even last year's team.
No, they weren't. This is exactly what I expected them to do. I thought they'd win around. I thought they'd go further than they did a year. I mean, this is exactly where I expected them to be. So I'm not going to call them overachievers. They did what I thought. And so they definitely didn't overachieve. I don't think they choked. Like this, they keep choking on their home ice. Like they keep losing. When you never win a game on your home ice, that's a choky thing.
Right.
But
you think it's a mental thing?
Yes. But I don't.
And they were the underdogs in every game. So I mean, you can't choke if you're the underdog.
Okay, but that means you can't. You mean in the series?
In the series.
Yeah,
so
but you're also allowed to win a home game here and there.
When your fans start to boo you, it impacts your players.
You're not supposed to lose every single home game. Like I get it. They were the underdogs in the series. They didn't choke against Florida, but they did blow a couple of leads. They were up on their home ice. It was a winnable series. So there's something between overachieving and a choke. And that's where I'm at for the Bruins. I'm still disappointed with how that ended. And it ended so quickly on Friday night.